Alright, it's a safe assumption that everyone here has eaten food at least one time in their life. And another safe assumption is that we probably all had some form of beef product. Well, I have enjoyed hamburgers myself. Well, I used to. But have you ever wondered how they get so much meat to so many people with all the fast food chains? Well, today I'm going to tell you about how corn is the main diet that is hurting all of our food, essentially, but mostly focused on beef. Corn is cows are supposed to eat grass. That's their main diet. That's what they do. They're nature's lawnmowers. They eat, they poop, grows more grass, they eat it again, etc. But food companies have developed a plan where they can feed corn to cows to make them bigger in half the time it takes, and make them bigger and fatter, and to feed our American selves. So the policy I would like to tell you about is that we should eliminate corn from their diet completely and just keep them on a grass-fed, keep them grass-fed. According to NBA Food Advocate, prior to World War II, 90% of cows were grass-fed, natural way, pasteurized and everything like that. But afterwards, with the growing population and everything, and the boom in the industry and everything, big food companies switched to corn, to subsidize corn, because it's a cheaper, more effective way to grow meat for us to eat. But there are so many dangers with this that comes along with it, and it's the health of the cow and it's the health of us ourselves. Cows, when they naturally digest food, they do naturally grow E. coli into their system. But with their stomach acids, they usually breaks it down and it goes away. But with corn, it raises the acidity in their stomach. And so E. coli has a chance to grow and infest them. But cows are immune to it, so it never really affects them. But it gets into their meat, in which goes to the slaughterhouse, which gets affected with all the meats, and the hamburger meat, because hamburger meat's hundreds of cows in just one thing. So we're being exposed to this because food companies want to, have the cheaper means to raise cattle and for our feed. But there's so many more health issues that come to mind for that. I mean, we have seen an increase in food poisonings, and E. coli that's never been around before and everything like that. But they don't care. They just want they just want the dollar. I mean, in the past there used to be so many more meat companies that would have their hands in chicken or beef or pork or anything like that. But now it's usually it's three companies that provide all the food to all the countries. I mean, and they have their hands in everything. I mean, Americans spend over $100 billion a year on fast food, according to MPS.org. But what I'm saying is why do they need to do this? Yes, it pumps them up and makes the meat cheaper and everything, but with grass, that's how they're supposed to be. That's it will reduce all of the sickness that they can create. Yeah, it takes longer for them to grow, but and no longer healthier. Like, I mean, every life form has the right to have a healthy life, even though they're being raised for us to put a bullet in their head. But why should we increase our chances of being sick and everything when we just for food? So I mean, think about it, like corn is in everything we eat nowadays too. I mean, like high fructose corn syrup is in literally everything. And so, we already forgot being exposed to this too, the corns and everything like that. I mean, like if you can just imagine living on one set of food alone, that makes you sick and everything like that, on top of having growth hormones and protein supplements and just antibiotics and eating like your own species essentially just to make you fat enough to for slaughter. I mean, they can't even walk or anything like that. Just because they grow so fast, their legs can't produce muscles and hold them, they just fall. So, I mean, my policy is that we should eliminate corn feed from their diet in order to produce, healthier cattle for us for our food. It's not worth. Money's not worth it enough to have. Life is more worth it than money is. John Rollins is an organic farmer who has a blog online. He talks about, how he has sustained his whole farm just through organics. He doesn't need corn feed. He has natural raised, cows and chickens and everything like that. But he says he has no problem with it. Yeah, it takes a little bit longer for the cows to grow, but in the long run, it's a healthy run. So I tell you this to wrap up. What I'm saying is, we should be more aware of what we're eating. You should think twice before you just run to the nearest McDonald's and eat, and just think about what that can possibly do to you. This is why I choose not to eat meat at all, and I'm just thinking out for my health. So I hope I have brought some awareness to you, and so you can have a better awareness of what you're eating out there today.
All right, John, what did you think?
You had a good opening line. You were pretty nervous through the whole speech, which kind of bugged me. There was a lot of pausing. You were using a lot of filler words, you had good facts and good information. I like how at the very end you connected your own personal reason for choosing your topic to why you chose the topic. The topic was easily identifiable, and I thought the speech flowed pretty well.
All right. I think that the opening is fine. You've got a good attempt to relate to the audience. You set up what the topic's going to be. The transition to your actual proposition or thesis statement or specific purpose statement was a little bit awkward. But you did finally express what it was, and you've got this policy kind of argument that you're making. Now, there's not really a setup of what the secondary points are going to be, so we're not getting that preview. And during the body of the speech, I thought information sometimes did have a tendency to run together. It's not so much that it was disorganized, but it was definitely hard to follow the organization if you're a casual listener. And remember, as good a job as we all are going to be at listening now, because we've been doing this for 14 weeks, there's still people out there who are not necessarily as focused on the speech as you are, and so you need to kind of help them along a bit by giving them that structure so they can keep up. The historical information was okay. I think you could have used a source citation on that. I was a little uncertain about whether the E. coli occurs inside the cattle and that's what makes the meat bad, or if it's in the processing. You seem to be suggesting that they get the E. coli because they're eating corn. It increases the acidity. Their stomachs, then become a place that's like, an incubator for E. coli, and I didn't really understand that was the case. So I think if that's quoted information, if there's an idea there, if somebody has explained it that way, you ought to be quoting that person. If not, you need to have a much clearer explanation of what's happening there. We don't really get any totals on what the risks are or what the potential harms are, and I thought that was a bit underdeveloped. It sounded at one point like you were almost shifting your topic from the cattle being fed the corn to just corn being used in our diets in all kinds of ways as problematic. And I don't mind if it gets included because it's got that unique perspective to it, but it seems like you kind of went off on a tangent instead of using that to illustrate some other possible